Here's the statue, presumably one of the great leaders in Lithuania, one of the Grand Dukes of Lithuania, or it could be that in my impression that it must be Perkunas, the thunder god, or maybe he might be Vaidutas. And here it is, the big sign of Kaunas. You know why? Because we're heading towards the ramparts. What was left is just the rampart, and over there, that's the building of Kaunas Castle. Kaunas Castle, built in the 14th century by Vaidutas, the Grand Duke of Lithuania, who shared power with Algirdas. Who, in the 14th century, Algirdas and Vaidutas, by the time they have already overthrown Ronutis, or let's say Jonutis, here we go, they decided to share power amongst themselves, because as you just as well be aware that Lithuania, back in the 14th century, it has been facing two fronts. The Mongols to the east, which is actually in reality just the Golden Horde, and to the west are the German Crusaders, and that is the Teutonic Knights. And so that's one of the reasons why such castles like Kaunas was built in the first place. And in 1362, there was a garrison under the Lord Commander called Vaidutas, who led the garrison of over 500 men, defended the whole castle, as you could tell, the tower, the ramparts of the wall, and also what was left of the walls around it, and a great siege, a big siege which lasted for months, because wave after wave of Teutonic Knights been attacking and isolating Kaunas Castle from further reinforcements, and also cutting out supplies, and even added the moat with soil to it, because the Teutonic Knights, what they're trying to do, they're trying to starve up the defenders. But of course the defenders, they were stubborn enough to resist the attacks of the Teutonic Knights. And of course you can just as well witness the resilience and the stubbornness of the Lithuanian defenders in the 14th century, especially at Kaunas Castle in 1362, when the brave defenders of Lithuania under Lord Commander Vaidutas, who led the garrison against wave after wave of Teutonic Knights, like a wave of Teutonic zombies, for that matter, wearing white cloaks with black crosses or even helmets and stuff like that. But of course, the Lithuanians, they threw everything at the Teutonic Knights, because the Teutonic Knights, they've been throwing everything at the Lithuanians. And so, but until the very end, when Vaidutas and the remaining 36 men tried to escape, he was captured along with the 36 men by the Teutonic Order. And so, yeah, the Teutonic Knights, they claimed victory, but a very costly battle, because they have lost so many lives on both sides, from the Teutonic Knights side as well as the Lithuanian side. And of course, after 2 years, Vaidutas and the 36 men were released. But of course, Vaidutas eventually converted to Orthodox Christianity to give up his pagan beliefs. What a pity that is, because Vaidutas and the 36 men had so much potential to defend the mother Lithuania, or let's say Motule Lietuva. They have defended in the name of Motule Lietuva to defend Lithuania from the attacks of the Teutonic Knights in order to preserve its independence, and also with the honor of the gods of Perkunas, Sole, Menua, Gemina, Gabia, and many other gods and goddesses who have been blessing the brave defenders of Lithuania to its bitter fight to protect the country. And as you can see here, the great flag of Lithuania with the Grand Duke of Lithuania on the red flag, flying proudly high in the blue skies, blessed by the might of Sole, the sun goddess, and blessed by the Mother Earth called Gemina. And the thunderbolts quite often would rain upon the Teutonic Knights by Perkunas. And here it is. This is the statue of Vaidutas the Great on his Ziergalis, full armor, shield, and sword. And that shows that how much of a brave leader he really was. And so yes, But I would have guessed that it would have been better that there would have been statues of Gediminas or even Kęstutis, Vytenis, and even Algirdas. But I think that Vaidutas is more than enough, actually. And one final thing before I stop is the connection and the link between the Neris and Nemunas rivers. Getostopas, the instrument for the crime and punishment in the medieval times, even during the 16th and 17th century. And here, a bunch of lanterns within the tower. Moskveno, Belesvio, Stogumo, Gono, Bilea, Sarashas. The list of Muscovites imprisoned in Kaunas Castle, 1519. In the beginning of 16th century, after the wars with Russia, in Kaunas Castle, were imprisoned 14 Muscovites taken into captivity in 1513 after Lithuanians won a big battle of Orsha, and 9 more prisoners captured after a smaller battles or clash. Living conditions of these prisoners were difficult. As written in 1519, list of prisoners with guard was very strong and iron. So Kaunas Castle also played the role as some sort of bastion where all the prisoners of war, like the Muscovites, as well as the Tatar or the Volga Tatar horde Khan Sig Ahmad, were imprisoned there. There's also Vaidutas, Zibirdavichus, the nobleman of Yosvenie, was imprisoned here as well. And so, yeah. Gono Pilish legendorse, Pashakuyama got Gono Pilish, Buz Myosha Miega Gonige Xiu, Vetuto Usburte Gare, Yegona Istix, Gogia Nors Didale, Beda, Janobus Erstos Gente Miesto, Senovea, Žmones, Galbedavo, Kad Naktemes is Pogimio Girdishi, Gario Galabas Ginklo, Žvangesis, Bejirgo, Žvengimas. Okay, that's Lithuanian, and now Kaunas Castle in legends. It is said that in the cellar of Kaunas Castle were the warriors still sleeping bewitched by Duke Vaidutas. When Kaunas will be in any major trouble, they will wake up and defend the city. In ancient times, people used to say that at night you could hear talks of warriors, sounds of weapons, and neigh of horses coming out of the ground. Yeah, I can just as well imagine that. And here it is. 1362, the siege of Kaunas Castle. As you could tell from the painting, you see wave after wave of Teutonic knights encircling the castle, attacking wave after wave with trebuchets, siege towers, armored knights, all attacking this very fort of Kaunas Castle, garrisoned by the defenders of Kaunas Castle under the Lord Commander of Vaidutas. And so, you can just as well see the pictured depiction of the battle which took place at Kaunas Castle between the pagan Lithuanians and the zealous Christian Teutonic knights. Here we go, the legendary Duke Vaidutas. Duke Vaidutas, 14th century, was the son of Kęstutis, Grand Duke of Lithuania, and the older brother of Vaidutas the Great. Reliable historical sources mentioned him only twice. Wigand of Marlburg Chronicle mentions Vaidutas as the leader of defenders of Kaunas Castle against the Crusaders in 1362. Yep. Of course, it wasn't just against the Teutonic Knights. There were other European Christians who want to destroy pagan Lithuania and attack Lithuania. For example, they have the Bohemians, they have the Hungarians, they also have other Germans, they also have Danish, English. Everyone joined the Teutonic cause to attack the Grand Dutchy of Lithuania, all because the Grand Dutchy of Lithuania being the last country to hold on to its polytheistic faith. And I'm proud to announce that as a Celtic pagan, I have to say I really gave hats off and salute to the defenders of Kaunas Castle in 1362 for risking their lives and also sacrificed their lives in the name to defend Lithuania from such attacks. And so, here we go. A box disguised itself as a book. Very clever. And it's written in Polish as well, because Poland, Lithuania. Heavily armored knight. Bear mat. The honorable Lithuanian warrior, the defender of Kaunas castle in the 14th century. You can just as well depict what the Lithuanian warrior looks like. Here we go. The magnificent sight of Kaunas castle is where I will last walk around it, and for the last time I will see this. It's so